Good morning, everyone. We'll get started in just a moment. Good morning, everyone. Happy day after Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday for those that are out and enjoying. We'll get started in just a second. Good morning. Welcome to my virtual office hours. We're at the end of November already. This week's early artwork is actually a mosaic from my birthday vacation in Bodega Bay last week. So, I thought that was actually pretty interesting. Lots of, Bodega Bay, the Bodega Bay vacation was definitely filled with a lot of fish and, different crab cakes, and it is crab season right now, and so it's actually good to be up there. I actually had driven through Bodega Bay many years ago, but actually hadn't visited, so it's actually good from that standpoint. Good to see, kind of get out of the Bay Area a little bit and see a little portion of the coast. My wife and I haven't taken a real vacation, taken a holiday break a little bit. For the last year was the first time in 2 years, and so first real vacation in 3 years. But happy to get away for a little bit and enjoy time away from the city. It's a little bit slower right now, the middle of November with Thanksgiving and everything. So it's actually a good time to get my shoulder surgery and start recovering from that as far as that's concerned. Let's go ahead and get started. Good morning. I'm Sunnyvale Mayor Larry Klein. Thank you for joining me again this week. This is the 140th installment of my weekly office hours. I hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving with friends and family, or enjoying those leftovers today. We've now reached 984 days since the March 16, 2020 county health order started the shelter in place in an attempt to slow the spread of COVID-19. Almost 3 years ago, I converted my weekly coffee shop hours into this weekly live stream address, and until a quick break the day after my surgery, I haven't missed a week since, but people still say they appreciate hearing from their mayor each week, whether or not live or watching it some time delayed. It's been good for me to always take stock of the last 2 weeks, give you some updates of what's happening in their city, what some decisions the council's made, give you some updates on what's coming up in our city. And then, of course, just give you some general words of encouragement during trying times. So thanks for allowing me to continue to represent you and work for Sunnyvale. Most Fridays I follow up my live stream sessions with in-person meetings at Bean Scene on Murphy Avenue. I won't be there today. I have family in town, so for the Thanksgiving holiday, so I'll be enjoying breakfast with them. But for next Friday, or most Fridays, if you'd like to reserve 15-minute or 30-minute time slot, just email me, and we can figure out a time that makes sense for everyone. I intermittently change my background with art provided by Sunnyvale artists. The art in my background right now is by Andrea Coutura. It's called Hot Pants. So if you're interested in the piece or other pieces from that artist, just reach out to me and I'll put you in contact with her. Let's go ahead and get started and talk about what's happened at the federal, state, county, and city level over the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks have been relatively slow, great for my recovery and from the shoulder surgery and taking a little break. Last Tuesday evening, We had a vigil for solidarity against hate at the community center. I got Sunnyvale to join the United Against Hate Week efforts last year. And so last Tuesday, we reaffirmed Sunnyvale's commitment to that unity. We had about 100 people show up, so thanks for everyone who showed, to basically stand against racism, against bigotry, against intolerance. The city provided candles and posters for those attending. I heard that Vice Mayor Cisneros, as well as Pastor Kim from the Sunnyvale Presbyterian Church, did a fantastic job speaking, and there were other community members who spoke. So I'm really happy that we were able to do that event. And it's just crazy times at times to hear the amount of racism and hate that we have in our country. And I'm happy that our residents are banding together to basically work on making sure that that's not part of our community. So thank you for that, and thanks for everyone who attended. Last weekend, of course, was Friends of the Library book sale. I heard it was well attended, and I think there's going to be another one mid-December for those that are still purchasing books and gifts for people. And then last Sunday was the grand opening of Pints of Joy, and it's great to see a local business continue to expand. So it was a home-based business that expanded to a small kind of common kitchen across from Fremont High School. But now they've actually a large brick and mortar place. They've expanded to a large brick and mortar. It's in the old Eric's Deli location on El Camino, just east of Fair Oaks Avenue. And it was good to see, good to meet everybody who came out, and a lot of people came out to enjoy some free ice cream and, meet the mayor. And I think it was great to see that business expand and meet, they've been actually very active in our community. And so great to have another store that is doing well. And then yesterday, of course, was Thanksgiving. So, and I want to say, I'm very thankful for being your mayor, and thankful for the great community we have. We have a very well-run city, and that has to do with a lot of our city staff, our public safety. We're always in the top 10 safest cities in the nation, and that has to do it's both with a great public safety model with where our every officer that we have is trained in police and fire and EMT. But the other thing is just having the residents that are, appreciate public safety, and our public safety officers are willing to, communicate to them and work with them. And, I'm really happy as far as that's concerned. But it's just been good to see how our communities banded together over the last 2 years and, really made a difference. During COVID, giving of themselves, being generous, that's a fantastic thing that we have this small community, this small city of 150,000 people, but it's good to see that, neighborhoods band together and, and feel, happy to be here. And so I'm always getting compliments of how, how the city's run. And there's always problems, there's always challenges, but people have really worked together, especially over the last few years. And I've been happy to be your mayor during that time. But as far as Thanksgiving, I started the day at the Applied Materials Silicon Valley Turkey Trot. I normally run it whenever I'm in town, although with my shoulder surgery, I just ended up walking that 5K, but it was great energy to be in the crowds. It was a great way, of course, to burn off some calories before heading off to Thanksgiving dinner. But it was really fantastic as far as that's concerned. I was able to see some old friends, and it's always a great way to kick off Thanksgiving weekend. So hopefully if people attended. I know that there were several first-time people that had a chance, but definitely if you didn't get a chance this year, try to do it next year. It's also the packet pickup is always at Sunnyvale Sports Basement, so you get a discount from whatever you buy at Sports Basement, which is always good for shop local as well as as Sunnyvale in general. So happy to take part in that event. And happy that it's Thanksgiving. It's like it's that happy portion of the year that where people are coming together and seeing some old friends and family. And I hope everyone's staying safe. And as far as gatherings are concerned, it's COVID is still out there, and it's important to try to maintain, get tested before and after this weekend as much as possible. Actually, on that note, let's go ahead and actually get to our weekly COVID numbers. From a national standpoint, actually, the CDC didn't update their numbers over last week. So I don't know what happened with the CDC, but we're still at the same, 90.1 million cases. And the death count, the people who have died because of COVID did not increase at all from last week. So definitely something's up with the CDC website, but we'll get more of that later. From a California standpoint, we've now had 10,611,000 positive cases. We've seen another increase in the daily average. So we're now at 4,200 new cases a day. That's up from 3,500 last week. And, we were in the 2000s for the previous few weeks, but we're back to 3,000 and now 4,000, more than what we were seeing per day a month ago. And the test case positivity has also increased. We were at 6.3%. We're now at 7.6%. So we're definitely seeing an uptick of the test case positivity over the last 8 weeks. So COVID is becoming, is taking a slight upswing. We had another about 200 deaths within California because of COVID. So we're now at almost 97,000 deaths, 96,700 approximately. And then from a county standpoint, our cumulative case count is now past 444,000. It's only up about 2,000 in the last week, but we've had about 11 deaths over the last week. So we're reached 2,524 deaths in the county. But from a vaccination standpoint, people are doing very well. More than 95% of those 18 and older are fully vaccinated, and over 70% that are eligible for the booster have received it. So it's good to see people trying to be safe. I continue to do a lot of advocating on our city's behalf at the county level, talking to county health, talking to our county supervisors. If you need to get tested, you can go to scfreetest.org. If you need to get vaccinated, you can go to scfreevax.org. So there's lots of people that, if you still need to get your booster, and there's also flu shots that the county's giving away. So definitely do what you can to make sure that you're being safe. Let's go ahead and talk about the many upcoming events during this time of the year. Today, of course, is Black Friday, but tomorrow is Small Business Saturday. So please remember to shop local whenever you can. We have lots of great small businesses here in the city. On Murphy Avenue, you have Please Books, you have lots of little stores. We honored Walt's Bike Shop. It's on Carroll Avenue right there at Evelyn for Small Business Saturday earlier this month. And, to always think about whenever you're trying to buy, just don't default to heading online, but take a look and see what you can do to shop local whenever you can. And then, of course, starting tomorrow, there's an event at the Tetra Hotel. So every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. until December 17th, there'll be actually a holiday celebration. And so it'll be complimentary holiday treats. There'll be cocktails and live music and a live snow globe and much more. I heard there's going to be, I think, a Mrs. Claus that'll be there. So definitely, if you get a chance, visit there. I'll try to highlight that a little bit more. So that's happening at the Tetra Hotel, and that's in Moffett Park in, right there along Java. So try to take a look at that. And then Monday, of course, is Cyber Monday. So that's the standard day for online shopping, although most of the online shopping starts pretty much after Halloween. So it's already been happening over the last month as they give special deals. And then Tuesday, of course, is Giving Tuesday. So think about that charity of your choice that really makes a difference. For Giving Tuesday, Sunnyvale Community Services on Curran Avenue is having an open house. There will be, a live auction and tours, some refreshments, but just fun opportunities to donate, and, raffles and wine pools at Sunnyvale Community Services. So, one of the auction items actually is dinner with the mayor, or dinner at the mayor's house. So we did that last year for our, actually, we did that last in 2019. Wow, it's been 3 years since the last in-person auction for Sunnyvale Community Services. But we have a pizza oven, and my wife actually went to cooking school and was trained as a chef. So it's always fantastic to give back to Sunnyvale Community Services. So if you ever wanted to have, a tour of the mayor's house and dinner, that's always a popular item at Sunnyvale Community Services auction. We're also a week away from the 23rd annual holiday tree lighting celebration. So that happens on the first Saturday in December at 5 p.m. on historic Murphy Avenue. And so we'll have the holiday tree that should be set up this week set up next week in preparation for next Saturday. Santa will be there, of course. There'll be carolers and choirs and dance groups performing. We'll also be unveiling our Sunnyvale Gingerbread Village. So we built the first Sunnyvale Gingerbread Village last year, and we'll be doing it again this year. So if you're interested about adding to that village, you have until December 2nd to create your gingerbread house to add to that village. And actually that village will be on display not just during the tree lighting that evening, but it will actually then move to the Sunnyvale Public Library for display at the lobby, in the lobby of the library from December 4th through January 7th. So if you want to join a community art project of gingerbread houses, definitely consider that. And then also next weekend, that same Saturday night after the tree cutting, around 7:30, so from 7:30 to 7:50, the Caltrain Holiday Train will be returning to the downtown Caltrain station. And it's, if you haven't seen it, it's, kids really love it. It's one of the Caltrains is completely lit along with holiday lights all along the side. There's snow, there's carolers, there's music, lots going on from that standpoint. And then all next weekend, there will be at Fremont High School, there'll be their annual holiday craft fair for the last 34 years. So they'll be hosting, local vendors with jewelry and clothing, cosmetics and baked goods. So that's at the main gym at Fremont High School from 10 to 3 p.m. or 10 to 4 p.m. each day. And then as far as upcoming council meetings, our next meeting is next Tuesday. And so we'll be starting with closed session review of our 2 direct reports. So council has 2 direct people that report to them, the city manager and the city attorney, and then pretty much all the operations. So we set the policies, we set the budget, and then the city manager and city attorney kind of take control of the city and make sure that we're doing everything legally, as well as, providing the service and service levels that council sets out. And then as far as the main meeting, council will be, we're continuing an amendment for the downtown specific plan for block 20. And that's the old Macy's parking lot, which only half of it's currently open, but it's to finish that vision of what the retail and the housing and all that looks like on that site. And so, but that'll be continued to a future meeting. We'll be approving art in private development for City Line Sunnyvale. And so we actually had a preview during the art that was opened earlier this year, a few months ago. at that park across from Whole Foods. And so it's some of the artwork that will end up at Redwood Square. And so that's one of the things that they're trying to do, a temporary improvement. And the other park, just to kind of highlight that new artwork. And then we'll finally adopt a resolution establishing a human relations commission. And this is one of the things that to meet our policy, our priority as far as equity, access, and inclusion. It was the creation of that commission. And ultimately, we'll be defining the number of members and kind of how that process goes as far as that's created. And then our first meeting in December, which will be December 6th, will finally be in person. So we've been, doing remote meetings for the last 2.5 years, and we'll finally go to a hybrid model so that council members and what members of the public will actually want to attend will be able to be there in person. And I already know several residents who are planning to attend, so already to welcome us back. But that evening we'll be doing several things. We'll be considering a revised cricket stadium proposal for Baylands Park. That's one of the things that a study issue that we kicked off a while ago, but ultimately it's trying to finalize a possible cricket stadium in Baylands. We'll look at approving the city's response to the 2022 Santa Clara County grand jury report about the ballot measure. So, it was mainly tied to one of the ballot measures related to the water board, the Santa Clara Valley Water Board did earlier this year. They put something on the ballot that basically said, we're going to limit you to limit the board members to 4 terms when they only had 3 previously. So it's disingenuous wording on the ballot. And so it's what the grand jury is hoping is that there's some sort of secondary oversight from a county standpoint on whether or not the wording on the ballot is, let's say, not completely factual or somewhat misleading. So that's one of the things that we'll be responding to the grand jury on. And then we'll look at evaluating an ordinance regarding our carry concealed firearms in sensitive places within Sunnyvale. So that's one of the things that the Supreme Court laid out as far as, cities can define what sensitive places are. And so there's been several cities that have done that, and it almost passed at a state level, making sure that, people can't have concealed weapons in parks and churches and whatever, unless, that business or that church allows it. So there's questions as far as that's concerned on how that works out. But that's one of the things that we'll be looking at. Let's go ahead and get to our weekly questions. If you have questions, just add them to the chat. And if I can see them, which sometimes I have issues depending upon how Facebook is acting every week, some things are hidden from me. But that being said, I can always get to them next week. Cindy asked what's happened with Sunnyvale's district elections. So that transition to 6 districts is finalized in January. We had 3 districts up for election this year. Several months ago, of course, we canceled the election in District 1, which is the south west corner of Sunnyvale, because we only had one valid candidate, Linda Sell. And so she is now, we ended up canceling that because she was the only qualified person who'd filled out all the paperwork by the deadlines. And so we saved the city, $20,000 from that standpoint. And then as far as District 5 election, so that's from the Caltrain tracks to 101 approximately, Richard Mellinger ended up winning that district. So he'll be taking over in January. And then as far as District 3 election, it's still too close to call. Justin Wang is leading Murli Srinivasan by 11 votes. And so the county register actually needs to go back and do a recount. Sometimes there are variations in those votes when they do the recount. If they're not sure if they're actually going to do it in time for their 30-day deadline. And so this is going to be one of the questions coming up as far as, when they actually do that deadline. That's one of the reasons why In many years ago, we switched the transition for our council from December because it was, there was a race too close to call, and we ended up having questions about whether or not we seated a council member prior to the registrar actually verifying that election. So we moved our transition period to January just to make sure that those issues don't happen within our city. And so, that I actually think was good, but ultimately they don't know when they will finalize that recount, whether or not it'll happen before or after those 30 days. So we'll see how that continues over the next month or so. And then Cynthia asked, will we ever get a Walmart in Sunnyvale? She asked that last Friday. So it's not likely. Walmart isn't actually expanding. They're actually looking at contracting, especially with the possible recession. We do have Walmart Labs, but that's actually their software division here in Sunnyvale. But we have Costco, we have Target. So we actually are lucky to have some big box stores that sell a variety of materials and goods to our residents. Seppi asked, happy Thanksgiving. Many residents of Sunnyvale would love to see some Sunnyvale pickleball courts like in Mountain View, Palo Alto, and other Bay Area cities. Is it possible that Sunnyvale will get a couple pickleball free courts for the Sunnyvale people? Currently, we're forced to drive to nearby cities to play. Thank you for considering. So we do have pickleball courts at the tennis center. That being said, we're constantly evaluating, the recreational needs of our city and what our residents would like to see. There's actually a study issue to do a more detailed deep dive on the needs of public recreation within Sunnyvale. And I know that pickleball has become the in sport, but we'll look at, we're looking at more use of cricket. And that's one of the things about the cricket stadium. Pickleball, I've heard from Frisbee golf enthusiasts about how easy it would be to add at least a practice field in different parks. So lots coming up next year as far as evaluating for future park amenities. Last week, Jackie and Maria asked, will we have a holiday ice rink and where? It's currently a big hole in the ground. So actually, the old ice rink was first held at the parking lot where there was a hole. And then last year it was actually held in the old Macy's parking lot. This year, because of all the construction, City Line and the ice rink actually isn't run by the city. It was actually sponsored and managed by City Line Sunnyvale. So they're actually not going to be able to do it this year because of all the construction happening downtown. But it is likely, I talked to them, it is likely they'll be bringing it back next year. So hopefully it'll be next year, if not the year after, depending upon where things stand next year at this time. Katie asked, downtown Murphy Street used to have holiday lights across the street back and forth, just suggesting that they do it this year to add ambiance and outside. Now that there is outside seating, the white lights on Castro Street go back and forth. It's colored lights across the street going back and forth. Okay, yeah. So the Downtown Association worked with the city several years ago to add lights along both sides of the street. So actually add additional lighting. I talked to the Downtown Association, and there were some issues about clearance for fire trucks and all that. But I'll continue those discussions with city staff. We are talking about the permanent closure of downtown next year. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about as far as, is there opportunity for lights across the street? So especially as we make it conceivably a pedestrian only zone permanently. Nick asked, thanks for doing this. I do have a question. Smoking in multi-tenant buildings is illegal. My complex has habitual smokers smoking every day for years. The landlord will not act to resolve. Sunnyvale Neighborhood Preservation could do nothing except audit for no smoking signs. So who's responsible and capable of enforcing smoking violations? So I had a long discussion with the city attorney on this, and he's going to look at it more closely and talk with Neighborhood Preservation. Neighborhood Preservation can possibly issue a warning, but the problem is they actually need to see that. They can't, force people to open up their house and it's like, oh, are you smoking inside? So this is this is one of the probable issues with why neighborhood preservation has had issues. So council, of course, several years ago outlawed smoking within multi-family residential developments, whether or not that's rental or whether or not that's for sale. Just to prevent the health issues related to secondhand smoke. And so, that was positive. But if you have a landlord, so I'm assuming in this case, or a homeowners association that isn't willing to enforce it, it's what steps you need to take in order to get that enforced. So the city attorney is looking at that and seeing what can be done. Rivika asked previously, is Rooster Teeth Feathers still closed? So, I communicated with Heather a few weeks ago and she said she planned to reopen before the end of the year. And I just found out 2 days ago that she's announced that the end of the year is coming a lot sooner than that. So they'll actually be reopened on Thursday, December 1st. So, if you want to get back to going in person at a comedy club, you have next Thursday is when it's opened, and she started booking for the rest of December. So happy to see that coming back within Sunnyvale. It's good to have another venue of entertainment that people want to attend. Heidi asked, I love the Atari 50 t-shirt. Where can I get one? So you can take a look at the post that I put up. I do think it was actually, Atari was founded here in Sunnyvale on Borregas, and ultimately, 50 years ago. And so this is the 50th anniversary of Atari, but, they became very popular, in the video game home console business. But I really liked the Atari 50 t-shirt, and I thought it was a nice memento and a callback to Sunnyvale's past. But if you go onto the post that I put up a few weeks ago, you can take a look and see, or actually just last week, you can take a look at where you can order them. It's not a fake ordering site, and I know several people who have also ordered by now. It's a good holiday gift present if you were thinking about getting one. Selena asked, is there a calendar or Facebook group where I can find out about Sunnyvale events? So you can always see my events on all the events on my calendar. So if you go to larryklein.com, I post pretty much everything that I talk about here at larryklein.com. So you can see links about that in descriptions and times. And I'll be restarting my newsletter soon. So as soon as that's active, I'll make that available to people. Let's see, anything. Oh yeah, Sharon asked previously, when will Sunnyvale be upgrading our infrastructure to improve our horrible internet? We had an AT&T rep out recently to try to help us. Even he was shocked at the antiquated service. He said that there is nothing he can do until the city upgrades. So I confirmed with the city staff exactly what I thought. All these are private utilities that utilize the public right of way to under the streets to provide internet, to provide Comcast and AT&T and all this to as far as internet to our residents. It's not city-owned equipment at all. So that rep was, it was antiquated because AT&T or Comcast didn't. So AT&T didn't hasn't upgraded their infrastructure in years. And so, yes, it has nothing to do with the city, although there are certain jurisdictions that are looking to install their own internet. And that's something that we've been kicking around at a city level for a while. There's certainly funding from a state standpoint to deal with some of that possible infrastructure. So, right now, all that is completely dependent upon your internet provider. And so, if there's issues, who to talk to, and it's their equipment at the end of the day. It's nothing connects into the city. It goes underneath our public right of way, but the equipment itself is specifically owned by that internet provider. Janice asked, when does the new city hall open? And I toured the new city hall a few weeks ago, and staff will be moving into the city hall in January. It's already being built out with all the cubicles and all that, but grand opening will be early next year. Let's see if we have any questions from anybody today. Can you do captions for the hard of hearing deaf? Ultimately, that is possible when I transfer it to YouTube. So that's one of the things that I will, make sure is there. And actually, it might be possible in Zoom, and I'll take a look at that for upcoming meetings. I think that is it. Oh, Garrick asked, does Sunnyvale give away calendars? No, Sunnyvale doesn't, but there are several insurance and real estate people that they give away that. I know that State Farm, Mike Klein at State Farm gives away free calendars. And so definitely if you're looking for a calendar, I'm sure, you can find one at mainly the real estate and insurance companies within the city. I think that's it. Definitely let's go ahead and wrap up. Thanks for joining me again this week during this holiday season. Hopefully everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving and is thankful for making it through another year. We're still in uncertain times. New issues continue to come up, but I want you to know that no matter what challenges we face them together. I'm proud of Sunnyvale and how our residents responded and continue to respond to the challenges over the last few years. I'm thankful for, especially during this time of thanks, but, I'm thankful every day for being a mayor of our city. I'm thankful to everyone who helps out, in our community, volunteers, shows kindness, generosity, just shows empathy for their common man. But your actions and your attitude really do make a difference. Sunnyvale will emerge from this as a stronger community. We're in this together and we will get through this together. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful week. Goodbye.